We're getting into VCU today. Watched some film yesterday. Very experienced, mature, well coached, hard playing team. So it should be a great game. Hopefully we play well.
Obviously, their thing is that havoc defense. Looks like they're forcing turnovers at an even higher rate this year. How did you guys prepare for that last year? And what's
Not very well.
I guess in practice, how do you try to prepare these freshman ball handlers to face that?
Well, the first thing you got to do is have players that can handle that type thing. And we last year in the game, when you think about it, who were our best players at the end of the year and maybe at the beginning of the year as well. Dexter Dennis did not dress for the game. He had a concussion. Samaje and Marcus, within the first 10 minutes, both had 2 fouls, which was our only leadership and veterans going into the game. And then I think we're up 7 a couple of minutes before halftime, and Jaime hurt his foot. That's when he got the plantar fasciitis tear in the bottom of his foot. So from that point forward, we could not stem the tide. So it got ugly in the second half. You got to have players that can handle that type of pressure and the varying degrees of trapping and just athleticism that they encountered, and playing on the road, that's a tough environment. They've got a great home court advantage, so I think we'll be a little better prepared this year. We're more talented, number one. That's the biggest thing.
10 games into the season, and a few times this year you've mentioned this team's ceiling. What does that look like to you now, and I guess going forward as well?
Well, it looks higher than it did a year ago. Again, we're more talented. We've said that. We're more experienced. We've got some guys that have been through college basketball seasons before and understand what it takes to win, not only at home but on the road and in difficult environments. So if we can continue to play as hard or harder than the opposition and as smart or smarter than the opposition, we have a great chance because we match up physically with those teams and we're not deer in headlights. So I like it.
Coach, you're in the middle of a pretty tough non-conference schedule, been able to rattle off 2 wins out of 3 of this non-con stretches. What has this done for the confidence of your team being able to get those big wins?
Well, I think you'd have to ask them as far as how confident they are, and I think Oklahoma State on the road, Oklahoma neutral, VCU at home, and then I think our next game after that would be Ole Miss. Is that correct? Abilene Christian. Okay, yeah. That's a stretch. So yeah, when we come back from Christmas, we have Abilene Christian, then the first conference game before Ole Miss, and then Memphis. So yeah, we're in a tough stretch for sure. I think just anytime you have some success, you become a little more confident, and we won't get carried away. We know that on any given day we can play poorly and lose, but the good news is our best is pretty good, and it's good enough to win against some very, very quality teams.
Do you like having the last 2 weeks, having that week to prepare and practice, having a lot more practice?
I do. I mean, it was exam time for one, and you try to go as little as possible so they can take care of their academics, which is obviously paramount. But and you get to take some preparation time for these teams. I mean, these are good teams and well-coached teams, and that's benefited us a little bit. We took Sunday and Monday off. I gave them 2 days off. I'm sure guys were in the gym yesterday, but I just thought we have 4 days to prepare for VCU, which is plenty of time, and A lot of guys are dinged up a little bit, give their bodies time to heal and feel a little better about themselves physically coming into practice today.
Coach, 20, 25 in the coach poll and like 28 technically in the AP. How does it feel for you to know that your team's getting that recognition of a team to look out for, especially right now where I feel like it's anyone's game in college basketball?
Yeah, well, it's nice after a year away from that type of notoriety and publicity, and which was to be expected. I mean, it was a grind last year, and those of you who went through it with us, you know that we kept battling and eventually got better. But it was some dark days around this time and into December for sure, into January. But the kids grew up, and they kept fighting, and kept battling, and now we've added some more talented players, and we're just not starting over, which kind of we had to do last year. Samaje was at the game on Saturday. I think he's headed to Australia, if I'm not mistaken. And Marcus has just been back. His grandpa died, so he was back in the States, and we touched base. And I again thanked both of those guys for helping bridge what hopefully is a nice run of several years at least coming up on the horizon with what we had done previously. And last year was obviously that gap year. It was hard to go through, but when you have the 6 seniors and C.J. Kaiser flunked out and Landry Shamet went to the NBA after his sophomore year, which is a great problem to have. Austin Reeves transfers out of the blue, and Alex Lomax goes to Memphis with his guy. That was a lot of crazy things happening that spring. So we weathered it. That's what I'm most pleased about.
With this matchup against VCU, I mean, a lot of great games, a lot of memorable finishes. Does that make this game for you? I mean, does that kind of take you to a great rivalry?
Oh yeah, it's been a good rivalry, and the thing is, Mike Rhodes, their coach, he was the assistant coach at Randolph-Macon. I was the assistant coach at Randolph-Macon in '85 through '87, 2 years after getting my master's degree. After playing there for 4 years, went to University of Richmond to get my master's degree, and ultimately, Coach Nunnally, who was the head coach that coached me, and then I got my start in coaching under, hired Mike to be his last assistant, and he retired. And Mike was elevated to the head coaching job. And Mike was a great player from Pennsylvania. I think he played at Lebanon Valley. But then just a tremendous basketball guy. And he was the head coach at Randolph-Macon. They had already moved to Division III at that point from Division II when I was there. And did a great job. He had their team #1 in the country for a while. We played them when I was the head coach at Winthrop, and they almost beat us. So I said, I'm not going to play you anymore as a Division III program. I mean, he was getting a lot out of those kids, and he still does. I mean, he's a wonderful coach, great guy. He got the Rice head coaching job after a few years as an assistant at VCU under Shaka, and was doing some really good things with the Rice program. And Will Wade was a short timer at VCU before getting the LSU job, so Mike was asked to come back. And I mean, they're every bit as good as they've ever been. So, and he's got a veteran team. I mean, this will be a bunch of seniors and a couple of juniors and some young talent, but his core guys, the guys that are at the top of his the stat sheet, are definitely guys that have been around 3 and 4 years.
With Eric Stevenson, named Player of the Week for the whole.
That's
whole
great.
American
Yeah.
gang. Where are you starting to see that consistency from him? Is that the difference?
Yeah, I think he has shown some consistency. I think of the sophomores, I think he has been the most consistent. All of them are talented. They've had their moments. Mo's had leading scorer a couple of times, and Poor Bear's had his moments. JB had his moments. Dex is not really gotten a whole lot of traction so far this year, but he will. But Eric has been that consistent guy, and it's been that way all summer, all fall. I mean, he's in a leadership role. You hear his voice all the time, and just got to make sure his voice is saying the right things because he's very passionate and energetic, and he's fun to coach. He's got a lot of energy.
You mentioned Dexter's struggles. Has he gotten down on himself at all throughout?
You'd have to ask him. I don't know. We haven't gotten down on him. I know that I thought when he hit that first shot against Oklahoma, he was going to bounce right back into the old Dex mode, but then he missed a few and got in some foul trouble, got beat on a check out, got caught in a tough spot in transition and fouled. So, but he helped us win. He was in there. Everybody that played in that game on Saturday against OU helped us win, and it was a great feeling. It was a good feeling to beat a team that had handled us so well down at their place last year, and enjoyed the way they handled them. But you should enjoy that when you're throttling a team like that, and they enjoyed the beatdown. So our guys remembered that and certainly wanted to give it back to them. And it was good to watch them be able to do that, and good to watch our guys, have some intestinal fortitude, if you will, and some toughness and some backbone, and fight back against a very talented and well-coached team.
With Sherfield, I saw when he did that little 4-0 run, 2 passes to Jamie, they called timeout, switched kind of how they're guarding ball screens, and then he made him pay with his scoring. How is that advanced for a freshman? Is that what you guys expect, or was that pretty impressive?
Well, he's a very talented player, and he's had his moments. I mean, he's been the leading scorer a couple of times for us this year, and he's coming along very nicely. His little spurt there in the second half was really, really key for us on Saturday. And that's kind of, now what we're expecting him to do. We want him to be able to do that. We want him to play downhill. He's really good when he does it. I remember asking him in the West Virginia game, because at the very end, when we're having to push it and we're down 6, 7, 8 points and we need to score quickly, he started to go downhill and made a couple of jump shots. And after the game, I remember asking him, why did you wait so long, to go downhill and be aggressive? And he just got to find his comfort zone and comfort level with what we're asking him to do. But at this point, just play basketball. You've played a lot of basketball. You know what good basketball is, and take what you've learned here and incorporate it with your talent and your skill, and just go do it. And he did that Saturday, and that was really cool to see. Anything else?